So yeah, so if this is your first class, your first yoga ever, fixed, amazing, thank you. If this is your first yoga ever, it's going to be really weird, especially not doing it in a class setting, doing it through a video. So just, do what you can. There's going to be some things that are a bit confusing, especially one of the biggest things that's confusing is figuring out where your left and right is. And when we're in a room together, for one, you're surrounded by people who are all doing the same thing, but you also have me kind of pointing left and right. So that helps a lot. So kind of familiarize yourself. I joked on the live feed last night that, if you hold up your thumb and your forefinger, when you look at them, whichever one makes an L, that's your left hand. So just familiarize yourself with that real quick, because that's going to help you a lot. And I will repeat lefts and rights as much as I can. Okay, so there's a couple of simple modifications, which I will go throughout the practice, but just for anybody who, especially people who have maybe not only just not practiced yoga before, but who have not practiced with me before. So downward facing dog, I am also connected to the phone through a wire, so I apologize if that gets in the way. Downward facing dog, hands on the mat, hips back, chest back. This is your down dog position. You can modify this by bending your knees a little bit. You can modify this by having your knees on the mat and reaching your chest forwards. You can even drop your hips all the way back. That is a posture called child's pose, hips back, head down, and we will start in that in a few moments. Plank, you can also modify rather than having your knees up. Knees can be down instead. That is absolutely fine. Also, we will have a few lunges involved. Whenever there's a lunge, if this is too much, back knee can come down onto the mat. Pretty much all of the same stuff, all of the same cues will apply to the posture, whether you're modifying or not for the most part. And I'll try to clarify as much as I can. Also, there isn't going to be any music. Typically in all of my classes, pretty much, I teach with music. I'm not going to teach with music tonight, mostly because I don't know if Facebook will allow it. I don't know if Facebook would take the video off because it's like licensing rights or something like that. However, I have seen some other people using music in like fitness videos, and a couple people that I know from like back home and stuff doing live feeds with music. So I'm gonna see if I can send some messages tonight and see if I can figure out if it's gonna be okay or not, or if Facebook is gonna go after those videos and take them down. Because I'd rather just have them be able to stay up without music rather than worry about them not being able to go up at all. Okay, I think that's it. This is going to be interesting. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've not taught a live yoga class to a camera before, so this is going to be really interesting. This is not a professional video. We'll do what we can, and we'll see how it goes. All right, so without further ado, also, if you have questions, you can type them in. I'm going to be quite far away from the camera, so I'm not really going to be able to see them coming in. But at the end, I'll scroll through the comments and see if there's any questions, and I'll stick around for a little bit at the end as well, so you can type in some questions at the end also. Okay, so that's it. We're going to get started, and we'll see how this goes. So we're going to start in child's pose. So that posture I just kind of introduced you to a minute ago. So knees are on the mat, big toes touch behind you, hips drop back towards the heels, and then the forehead drops towards the mat in front of you. Now you can modify this posture to make it comfortable for yourself. So your knees, they can be close together, they can be wide apart. Your arms can be stretched out in front. That would be your typical posture. Or you can bend the elbows, or you can even take the arms back by your sides. Just find something that is comfortable for you, because we will be in this posture for a few good breaths. So once you're there, you're just allowing your body to settle into stillness for a few moments. Just taking notice of your breathing, not trying to control it in any way at the moment, just watching the natural rhythm of your breath.
Then start to track your breath through your nose as much as possible. Letting the inhale slowly get a bit longer, creating a bit more expansion in the body. And letting the exhales become a bit more powerful. Starting to introduce an engagement in your belly and a slight closing at the back of your throat as you press and control the air out through the nose. Just taking another 3 to 5 breaths here. And once those breaths are completed, once you feel settled, an inhale will bring you up into tabletop position. Take your time getting there. And once you've come up, your hands are stacked directly underneath your shoulders, and your knees are just underneath your hips. Your fingertips are spreading wide, and the knuckle of your index fingers are pressing down into the mat, staying connected to the mat to support your wrists. Take a deep breath here. And then inhale into cow tilt. Drop your belly, lift your chest, gaze comes up. Exhale, cat tilt. Round your spine, engaging your belly as you lift up towards the ceiling. Back into cow. Inhale, the belly drops, the chest lifts, your shoulders roll back. Exhale, cat. Push through the arms, spread the shoulder blades above you as you round. And one more just like that. Inhale, lifting the chest, opening the whole front side of the body. And exhale, close the front side of the body, opening the back side. And then back to neutral inhale. Once you're here in a neutral position, you're threading the needle. So you're going to take your left arm. Now again, remind yourself which is left and which is right. Make that L with your left thumb and forefinger. You're going to take your left arm underneath the right armpit and set your left shoulder down to the center of the mat. Relax your neck so your head sets down. Hanging out here for a few breaths. Your right shoulder, this top shoulder, is now going to start to roll up. You can keep your right hand where it is, or you can walk the right arm forwards, getting a bit more length in the right side. 3 breaths. And then coming back up into tabletop position. Bring the right hand back under the shoulder if it went forwards. Push yourself back up. Hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Move through 1 cow and cat tilt. Inhale, cow, belly drops, chest lifts. Exhale, cat round. And neutral inhale. And then setting up the other side. Right hand, right arm is going to thread underneath the left armpit. Set the right shoulder to the center of the mat. Relax your neck. Let the side of the head set down. And then again, just take the same option from the first side. Either leave your left hand where it is, pushing down to roll your left shoulder up, or walk the left arm forwards, getting that bit of extra length. Using your inhales here to roll your left shoulder a little higher, and your exhales to roll your left hip further back. Just 2 more. And then release. Bring the left hand back underneath your shoulder. Push yourself back up into tabletop. And then take yourself through 1 more cow and cat tilt. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest. Exhale, round the spine, engaging the belly. And then back to a neutral position, inhale. So again, your fingertips are spreading, your knuckles are pressing down. There's a little bit of engagement in your belly, so your lower back hasn't collapsed here. You're keeping it supported. Tuck your toes under, finding your first downward facing dog. Push through the hands and the feet, lift your knees, and reach the chest and the hips back towards the toes. Now from here, just let your knees stay bent in this first one. There's no rush to straighten out the legs. Take a couple breaths, focusing on the length of your spine, reaching your belly towards your thighs and your chest towards your toes. Take one more breath. And then come forwards into plank. Inhale, shift the body forwards. Chest, shoulders are over your wrists, heels are kicking back. Now, if your shoulders coming over your wrists means that your hips are still really high, just lengthen your stance a little bit so the hips can be in line with the rest of the body. Knuckles are still pressing down to support the wrists. And then send it back into down dog. Exhale, reach back through the chest and the hips. Keep the hands and feet where they are. Knees might bend here a little bit again. This length in your lower back is more important than straight legs. So if straightening the legs causes your back to round, just keep them bent. If you can, you're welcome to start lengthening the backs of the legs, drawing the heels towards the mat. But again, make sure it doesn't cause your lower back to round. Take one more breath here. And then coming back into plank again. Inhale, shift forward, shoulders over the wrists. Now your pelvis, your hips, they're not tipped up to the ceiling or dropped to the mat. Hips are in line with the body and tucked under just a little bit. Again, belly is active, lower back is supported. Take one more. Downward face. Exhale, reach back through the chest, bending the knees if necessary. One more time. Inhale, shift forwards. Knuckles pressing down, belly is lifted, heels are kicking back. Downward face. Exhale. Then take a little bend of the knees if it's not there already. Look between the hands and take small steps, walking the feet all the way up to the top of the mat. Feet eventually under the hips, separated a couple inches apart. Knees stay bent a little bit and just relax the upper body. Letting the neck and the shoulders soften. If it feels nice, you can grab a hold of your opposite elbows here. Otherwise, just leave the arms hanging. And you can shake your head a little bit, no. And a little bit, yes. And then come back to stillness. Release the arms if they're bound. Keep the knees bent a little bit and slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time, letting the head be the very last thing to lift. Once you're up at the top, heel toe your feet towards one another if it's comfortable. Your big toes might touch, they might not. Arms are reaching down by your sides. Take a deep breath through the nose. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, arms come down by your sides. Just breathing through the nose. Again, inhale, reach up. As the fingers go up, your rib cage stays down. Exhale, arms down. Once more. Inhale, reach. This time, fold. Exhale, hinge at the hips, bringing the hands towards the mat. Knees again might bend. Inhale for a flat back, lifting the chest away from the legs. Most of you, your hands will come off of the mat. If that's the case, just push into your shins for that support. And then fold. Exhale, release. Same thing again. Inhale, flat back. Doesn't matter what angle your back is at, what you're looking for is to take this rounding out of the lower spine. And then exhale, release, fold. Once more. Inhale, flat back. This time back to plank. Exhale, plant the palms, walk your feet to the back of the mat. Once the feet are back, set your knees down into a modified plank. Not much has changed here except for the knees setting down. Your pelvis is still tucking under, belly is still strong, knuckles are still grounded. Setting up your first chaturanga. Take your time with this. On your next exhale, start to bend the elbows. Now you're not looking to get all the way to the mat. You want to hover the body. Doesn't matter how low the elbow, how much the elbows bend. What matters is that your hips don't collapse. Keep everything supported. You might make it to a 90-degree angle in the elbows and then release all the way down onto your belly. Once you're down, release your toes so the tops of the feet are on the mat. Tops of the feet push down so that the legs are really active here. Coming into cobra pose. Inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together, halfway lift the chest. What you're doing here is using the muscles of your back to pull the body up rather than pushing with the arms. Go ahead, release, drop back down. Slide your hands back just another inch or so. Same thing, push through the tops of the feet, strong legs, inhale, lift the chest. Squeezing the shoulders together, reaching back through your elbows. And then release. Once more. When you're ready, push through the feet, inhale, lift the chest. See if this time you can float your palms off of the mat while keeping the feet grounded behind you. And then relax, drop back down. Tuck your toes under. Either on the knees or the toes, come into plank. Inhale, press up. And then back to downward facing dog. Exhale. Once you're back in downward facing dog, take one more breath, spreading the fingers, reaching back through the chest. Then look forwards, step or jump both feet to the top of the mat. Lifting the chest halfway up, flat back. Exhale, fold. Coming all the way up to standing with a flat back this time. Inhale, lift your chest, then continue all the way up, lifting the arms, lift your gaze. Exhale, arms by your sides. Surya Namaskara A, Sun Salutation A. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, fold, hinging at the hips, hands towards the mat. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Back to plank. Exhale, plant the palms, step or jump the feet to the back of the mat. First option, knees are down. If that first lowering was quite challenging, set the knees to the mat. Second option, you can keep the knees lifted. Chaturanga. Exhale, start to bend the elbows. Again, don't let the belly collapse to the floor. First option, cobra. Inhale, hips are down, chest is lifted. Second option is upward facing dog. If you're going to choose up dog at any point in the practice, make sure the tops of the feet are pushing down so that your knees and thighs can float off of the mat. That power in your legs just supports your lower back. Take one more breath here. If this is impossible, cobra is perfect again. On your next exhale, down dog. Either push down through the knees to lift the hips or through the tops of the feet, rolling over your toes. Take a couple deep breaths. Again, knees can bend here. Legs can start to straighten if it feels nice. Take one more. Inhale, look forward, step or jump the feet between your hands. Lift halfway, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, plant your palms, lunge your left foot to the back of the mat. So again, check if you need to, which is left, lift, which is right. Left foot lunges back. If you need to modify here, back knee can set down onto the mat, otherwise keep it lifted. Left hand stays down, right arm reaches up towards the ceiling into a twist. Couple deep breaths here. So this is the first twist of your practice. It doesn't have to be deep, it's just starting to open up your body here. Your back heel is kicking away from you as this front heel is grounded into the mat. If that front heel is back or lifted, just move it forwards a little bit so it's underneath your knee. Take one more. Back to downward facing dog. Exhale, right hand to the mat, right foot steps back. Once you're back, take a second, spread your fingers, get the grounding in your palms. Then into three-legged down dog. Right leg lifts up. Take a deep breath here, reaching back through both hips, reaching back through the chest. Crescent lunge. Inhale your right foot, your floating foot steps forwards between the hands once again. This time both arms up to the ceiling. Again, modify if you need to, back knee on the mat. When you're ready, lift your chest, both arms come overhead. Couple deep breaths here. Again, back heel is kicking away from you. Your front knee just on top of the ankle, not way out in front of it. You want to be right on top. Take one more. Into a fold. Exhale, hands to the mat. Left foot comes up to meet the right. Inhale, flat back, lift the chest. Other side. Exhale, plant the palms. Right foot lunges to the back of the mat. So that foot that was forwards a moment ago, it's now stepped back. Once the right foot is back, right hand is down, left arm turns up to the ceiling. A couple deep breaths. Again, front knee just on top of the ankle. As you're reaching up through this left hand, your shoulder is rolling back. Don't let the palm turn behind you. You want your palm turning away from you so that the shoulder doesn't collapse and roll forwards. You want your chest open. Take one more here. Downward facing dog. When you're ready, left hand down, left foot steps back. Deep breath. Three-legged dog, left leg lifts up. So the foot that was just forwards, lift it up. Take a couple breaths here. Again, reaching back through the chest, seeing if you can press evenly through both arms. One arm might be holding a whole lot more weight. Push through the other arm. Take a deep breath into your belly. Crescent lunge. Left foot between the hands. Floating foot is forwards. When you're grounded, when you're settled in the legs, lift the chest. Arms eventually up overhead. Couple breaths. Gripping the mat with your front toes. Reaching through the back heel. One more. Into a fold. Exhale. Hands down. Right foot comes up to meet the left. Inhale, flat back, lift the chest. Moving through a vinyasa. Exhale, plant the palms. Step or jump the feet to the back of the mat. Remember, modify where you need to. First option, knees are down. Second option, knees are lifted. Keep the belly strong. Chaturanga. Exhale, bend the elbows. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Legs are strong wherever you're at. Push through the feet. Downward facing dog, either pushing through the knees or through the tops of the feet as you move back. One more breath here. Inhale, your right foot steps forwards between the hands. Once the right foot is forward, set the back knee down onto the mat, and then bring your hands up onto your hips this time. Keep your back toes tucked under. Back knee is down. Front leg is still really strong. Don't let that get too relaxed. You need it for support. Keep your glute switched on. Keep the knee just on top of the ankle. Inhale, left arm reaches up. So that should be the arm of your back leg. Exhale, the left arm reaches across over the top of the body towards the right side. You're getting a stretch through this left side of the body. Take 3 breaths here. Inhale's lifting up. Exhale's reaching through the top arm. 2 more. Back to the top. Inhale, lift up, left hand onto your hip. First option, hands come onto your thigh. Second option, hands stay on your hips. You're gonna lift up into a full lunge. So keeping this front leg really strong, keep your chest going up, kick through your back heel to lift that back knee up, and then turn into a straddle. Spin your back heel down, and then turn your front toes in so that both of your toes are now facing to the left side of your mat. And your feet, your toes are turned just a little bit inwards, so the outer edges of your feet are parallel to each other. From here, coming into Prasarita Padasana A, into a fold. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, fold, hinging at the hips. First option, hands onto your thighs. Second option, hands to your shins. Final option, hands to the mat, whichever works best. And then deep breaths. Inhales, lengthening your lower back. Exhales, folding in the upper body. Take just 3 more here. Pressing into the outer edges of your feet, keeping the legs really strong for support. 1 or 2 more. Then inhale, halfway lift the chest flat back. Exhale, hands up onto your hips, all the way up to standing. Inhale, lift your chest all the way up. Turn your right toes forwards. Turn your left foot onto the ball of the foot, so you're back in your lunge. Front knee bends once again over the ankle. Everybody set your back knee down onto the mat. Inhale, the left arm reaches up once again. This time, exhale, fold. Hinge forwards in the chest, not collapsing in the upper body. Keep that open as you lean forwards. And then you're twisting again. Take your left tricep to the outside of your right thigh. So the tricep sets on the outside of the thigh. Now what you might find here is that you're kind of on the top of the elbow, and the elbow is kind of slipping off the top of your leg. If that's the case, just use your other hand to kind of push yourself further over and get more arm on the outside of the leg. Once you're there, your right hand meets your left, your palms are at prayer, and they're pushing together. Now your elbows here, first thing your elbows, they're not pointing back, they're not collapsed. I know you can't see them very well because they're on the outside of my body, but the elbows want to be open. So this right elbow is pointing up, and your bottom elbow is pointing down here. Take a couple more breaths. This front leg, once again, is really strong. Don't let the push of your arms drop that knee in. You want to drive the leg back into the arm. Take one more. And then release. Exhale, both hands to the mat, back to downward facing dog. Lift the back knee, step the right foot back. Now you have an option here. First option, stay exactly where you are. If you need a little catch of your breath, stay just here. Second option, you can take a vinyasa. If you want to take the vinyasa, inhale forwards to plank. Knees up or down. Exhale, chaturanga, bend the elbows, keep the belly lifting. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog, strong legs. Downward facing dog. Exhale, moving back. Other side. Inhale, your left foot steps between the hands. Again, check out, make sure you're on the right side. Left foot is forwards. Back knee sets down. And then your hands come up onto your hips. Excuse me. Once your hands are up on your hips, we're going into that side bend again. Again, make sure your front leg is really strong. Back toes are tucked under. That helps with your stability. Inhale, the right arm lifts up. Right arm is the arm of the back leg. Exhale, the right hand reaches across the top of the body towards the left hand side. Couple deep breaths here. Again, working to lengthen the right side of the body. From the fingers all the way through that side down to your right hip. Just take one more. Back up to the top. Inhale, lift up through the right hand onto your hip. So again, same options. You're going to come back up into the lunge. First option, hands onto your knees, so you can kind of push down a little bit to help you up. Second option, keep the hands on your hips. When you're ready, chest lift and the legs almost just move apart forwards and back. When you're ready, kick through that back heel to lift your back knee and then turn into your straddle. Back heel spins down. Front toes turn in once again, and you're in a straddle facing the right side of your mat. Again, toes turn just in just a little bit. You're pushing into the outer edges of your feet. This time the arms are a little bit different. Take the hands behind your back, interlace your fingers. From there, reach back through the knuckles, seeing if you can straighten the arms. Squeeze the shoulder blades together behind you so your chest is open. Then fold. Exhale, start to hinge at the hips. Now as you hinge in the hips, don't let your shoulders collapse forwards. Keep them back as you're folding. Only go as far as you can with that fold. Once you can't go anymore, the knuckles start to pull up away from your lower back, still squeezing the shoulder blades together. Take a few breaths. Again, the inhale's lengthening your spine. The exhale's either taking a little bit more power in the legs or a little bit more power in the shoulders, either taking you deeper into the fold or deeper into the opening of the chest. Take one more here. And then inhale, halfway lift up, pulling through the knuckles. Exhale, release the bind, hands onto your hips. Inhale all the way up to standing, lifting your chest. Turning back to the front of your mat. Turn the left toes forwards. Spin onto the ball of your back foot. Front knee bends on top of the ankle. Back knee sets down onto the mat. Again, keeping the toes tucked under. It helps with stability here. Inhale, right arm lifts up. Exhale, hinge forwards in the hip, leaning forwards, keeping the chest lifted, and then twist. Turn the chest to the left, right tricep on the outside of your left thigh. Again, you might need to push with this other hand to push yourself a little further over. So you're not just on the top of the elbow and the top of the thigh, you actually have the tricep pressing into the outside of your leg. From there, palms to prayer. And you're working here again, stabilizing through the front leg, making sure the knee is pushing into the arm as much as the arm pushes into the knee. Thinking about your thumbs here, the priority of this posture is your twist. So thinking about pressing so much through the arms that your thumbs go from probably somewhere up near this left shoulder to into the center of your chest. Your upper body turns so much that the thumbs wind up lined up with the center of your chest. Take another 3 breaths. The inhales are lengthening. The exhales twist. One more. And then release. Exhale, hands to the mat. Left foot steps back.
Now you've got two slightly different options this time. First option, child's pose. Knees to the mat, hips back, take a little rest. That's where we were at the very start of class. Second option is a vinyasa and then child's pose. If you want the vinyasa, inhale to plank. Modify where needed. Exhale to chaturanga. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Child's pose, knees down, hips back towards your heels. Take a few moments of rest. I'm going to take a sip of water. Just take 2 or 3 more breaths there. When you feel settled, downward facing dog. Inhale, your right foot steps between the hands. Right foot is forwards this time. From here, you're coming into standing split. Now, this is a one-legged balance, but you have your hands to help you out. Front leg at no point needs to be straight. That's important. Your front leg does not need to be straight. Leave it bent, at least for the start of the posture. Start to bring some weight forwards into your front leg. The back toes will step up a little bit to get more and more weight into this front foot. Hands don't want to hold a whole lot of your weight, but they are there to be used for balance. Use them for balance here. From there, your back leg is straight and strong. Engage your glutes, start to lift that straight leg up towards the ceiling, towards the back wall. So, first priority, floating leg, keeping it strong and lift it. Second priority is the fold, folding the upper body closer to your standing leg. Last thing you need to think about is the straightening of this leg. If the first two things aren't there, don't worry about straightening this leg. If they are there, then you can start to bring that front knee back as you fold in. Take another 2 or 3 breaths. Inhales, lifting through the floating leg. Exhales, folding the upper body. One more. Back into your lunge. Inhale, lift the chest. Then bend your front knee, step the left foot back. Now, pay attention to this transition. Your front foot, your right foot, is going to heel toe across the mat to the left side of the mat. So it's coming underneath the body to the left. Now your back knee, this left knee, is going to slide up to the outside, to the right side of your right heel, setting the knee, setting the shin down onto the mat. Once you are there, I'll do that again just in case. So again, your right foot, front foot, heel toes across to the left. The left knee slides up to the right. Then you're just going to have a seat back. Now, if this, for some of you, this is going to be quite uncomfortable. If that's the case, all you're going to do is you're going to kick your left leg forwards. If you still have no idea where we are, get yourself into a position where both legs are straight. Then bend your right knee up towards you. And then put your right foot on the outside of your left thigh. So some of you will be in this position with one leg straight. Some of you will be in this position with both knees bent. Either is absolutely fine. From here, we twist. Now, right foot is grounded into the mat. Turning to the right side. First option, your left arm. Make the L. Left arm wraps around the front of your right leg, either taking a hold of the calf or the thigh. Second option, that tricep is going to go over the knee to the outside of the thigh. Either is fine. Wherever you are, your right hand, this free hand, is going to come onto the mat behind you. Inhale, lift the chest up. Exhale, twist. So this right shoulder, this back shoulder is rolling back and leading you into your twist, pulling towards whatever's behind you. For most of you, it will be a wall of some sort. Take a few deep breaths here. Again, the twist is the priority. Your hips are grounded. Wherever the legs are, your hips are grounded. Your chest is lifted, so your spine is long. And the chest, the ribs, are turning towards the right. Take 2 more. Last one. And then release, come back around to the center. You're moving either straight back into downward facing dog or taking a vinyasa on the way there.
So you can unwind the legs, cross the ankles, roll forwards, or crawl forwards, whatever works. So that you're on your hands and your feet, stepping or jumping the feet back. Again, either straight back to downward facing dog or taking a vinyasa on your way there. If you are taking the vinyasa, it is chaturanga, upward facing dog, or cobra, back to downward facing dog. I told you in the live Q&A last night that this would be interesting for me because suddenly I have to practice at the same time as speaking for an hour. So yeah, I'm going through my water pretty quickly here. Apologies if you're hearing my heavy breathing in the microphone. I'm just going to check the comments and make sure you can still hear me. Yeah, nobody has said that you can't hear me anymore, so I think we're good. Okay, so other side of that little sequence, I'm sure you've caught your breath by now. Excuse me. Inhale, left foot steps forwards between your hands. So again, you're coming into standing split to start. Front knee can stay bent for this whole thing. It does not need to be straight. Back leg is straight and strong. Start to shift some weight forwards into your front foot. So you're engaging your right quad to straighten the knee, and then you're gonna engage your right glute to lift that right leg up. Couple deep breaths here. The inhales, again, lifting the right leg. The exhales, folding the upper body. Your floating foot, you can point the toes if it works. You can flex the ankle if it works. You can do what yogis like to call a floint, which is a point of your ankle and then a flex of your toes, a floint, one of my personal favorites. Take one more deep breath here. Then inhale, lift your chest for a flat back into your lunge, bend the standing leg, right toes to the back of the mat. See, I mess up my lefts and rights all the time. Now, again, this is your funky transition. Front foot, your left foot, is gonna heel toe across underneath you to the right side, just behind your right wrist maybe. Then your back knee, right knee, is gonna slide up to the outside of your left ankle, setting the knee and the shin down onto the mat. And then have your seat. Again, if that didn't work, don't worry. Both legs straight. If you're still kind of confused of where you are, bend your left knee up towards you. Do your L, left knee bends up. Then left foot sets on the outside of your right thigh. Again, you're either staying here with your right leg straight. Some of you will have your right leg bent. Wherever you are, left foot is grounded flat into the mat. You also want to pay some attention to this left hip. Your left hip will have a tendency to roll up off of the mat. If you have both knees bent and that hip is not going to go down, try straightening out the leg. It gives you a little bit more space there. Having that hip down is important. You want to be able to ground into both sides of your hips. You also want to be able to lengthen this left side. You don't want your hip and your rib cage super crunched up together. You want them pulling apart. So, whatever option you've got, now take the same arm variation from the first side. Right arm either wraps around the front of your left leg or goes over the knee to the outside of your thigh. Left hand then comes onto the mat behind you. Keep that hand pretty close as well. If the hand is too far away, you'll lean back and you'll pop some weight into it. You want to stay forwards. You want to stay really tall with your shoulders stacked on top of your wrists. Deep breaths from here. Stay grounded into your left foot, grounded into your left hip. Inhales, lengthening the spine. Exhales, twisting. Thinking about your ribs turning away from your hips. Couple deep breaths. Just two more here. Back to the center, release. Same options. First option, straight back to downward facing dog, take a couple moments there. Second option, a full vinyasa. When you're ready, modify if needed. Cross the ankles, roll forwards over your toes, step or jump the feet back. If you're taking the vinyasa, go ahead. If you're skipping it, straight back into downward facing dog. And then everybody, when you're ready, come through into a seat. Inhale, step or jump the feet all the way up and through, having a seat on the mat. Congratulations, you made it. We're not done yet, don't worry, but the standing stuff, for the most part, is over now. So, go ahead, kick your legs straight out in front of you. Both legs straight out.
From there, bend your right knee. Right knee bends up, and then that right knee is gonna drop to the right side of the room. So the right knee drops away from you. Your right foot, sole of the foot, now pushes into your left inner thigh. That left leg is really straight and strong. If you're struggling here, if your lower back has already dropped back, and you're not quite able to sit up tall, grab either a block, a yoga block if you've got one, a book if you don't have a block, or even a pillow, and sit on that. That little lift of your hips will allow you to lift up a bit taller through your lower back. Again, something that if you need it, you can use it. Most of you probably won't. So right foot pushing into your left leg pushing back into the foot. Inhale, lift the chest, reach forwards. Exhale, fold. Your fold as you come forwards is a hinge at your hips and not a rounding of your upper back. So once you can't move anymore in your hips, just relax your shoulders, take a hold of something on your left leg, whether it be your shin, your ankle, or your foot. Breath is key, as always. Inhales, lengthening. Exhales, folding. Your breath is still powerful here. Even though we're no longer standing, we're not doing those obvious, powerful positions any longer, you are still using that breath to move that engagement, to move yourself into the postures. Take just 2 more here. Last one. And then release, come back up to the top. Now your right leg can stay where it is. Your left leg, that straight leg, is gonna move to the left about 45 degrees or so. Once that left leg is out, you can release your right ankle, so you're now kind of on the top of the foot. Come into a fold. Keep that left leg strong, start to walk your hands forwards. Again, you can sit on something to elevate your hips so you can get a little bit more of this fold happening. Once you have folded, first option, stay right here. If that's a lot, if that's plenty, stay exactly where you are. You'll probably feel this in your inner thigh. You might get something in your hamstring of the left leg as well. For most of you, you'll be happy to go a little bit further here. If you're going further, you're going to start to keep your chest facing the mat and walk your hands over towards your left leg. Now, your left hand can go wherever is most comfortable on that left side somewhere. Your right hand is the priority here. You want your right hand reaching away from this right hip. Now, it might stay on the inside of your left leg. You might also take it to the outside of your right shin. You might also be able to reach the outside of your left foot. If I said right leg at any point in there, I apologize, I meant left. So right hand somewhere along that left leg if it's available. You've got a few deep breaths here. What we're trying to do with this movement of the upper body is get into the right back side of your body, so your spinal erectors here. Take a couple more breaths, still inhaling to lengthen, exhaling to move further, maybe dropping your right shoulder a little bit towards the mat. One more. And then release. Walk the hands back to the center, come all the way up to the top out of that fold. Now, left hand is going to set down just inside of your left knee. Then walk the hand about a foot away from the knee. You've got about a foot of distance there. Inhale, reach up through the right arm. Exhale, reach the right fingers over towards your left toes. Bottom elbow will bend as this happens. For some of you, it's just going to bend a little bit. That's fine. For others, it will bend enough that the elbow sets inside of the knee. Where we're trying to get into here is, a moment ago we were in the back. Now we're in the side of the body. Couple deep breaths. Some of you might actually be able to reach your toes. Most of you will not. Another couple breaths here, reaching through the right fingers as your right hip keeps pulling down into the mat. Just one more. And then back up to the top. Inhale, lift up through the right arm. Once you're up, bend both knees and draw them into your chest. Just give yourself a hug for a couple breaths. And then we're going to set up the other side. Keep your left knee hugged up, release the right leg long, and then drop the left knee out to the side. Left knee is bent and drops to the side. Once the left knee is out, your left foot presses into your right inner thigh, right leg is strong and pressing back into the foot.
sitting on something if needed. Inhale, lift the chest, reach forwards. Exhale, fold. Again, making sure it's a hinge and not a rounding wherever you are. Once you feel that start to happen, just reset and then relax the shoulders from there, using your breath once you're in that position. Inhales, pulling the body open. Exhales, bringing it closer. Just 3 to 5 here. One more. Back up to the top. Inhale, lift up through the chest. Setting up that opening of your right leg. So your straight leg is going to move out to the side about 45 degrees or so. I'm going to move that candle out of the way so I don't get a hot foot in a moment. Release your left ankle. So you're on the top of your left foot. First is your fold. So again, maybe still sitting on something if needed. Right leg is still really strong and powerful. Start to fold forwards first. Once you've got that little bit of fold, your chest is going to stay facing the floor as you walk the hands over towards your right leg. Again, your front arm is your priority here. So this left hand, it can stay where it is, just reaching away from the left hip. Or you can take a hold of the outside of the shin, maybe further down to the ankle or the outside of the foot. You can add in a little bit of rotation in your chest at this point. So your front shoulder, this left shoulder, it might start to drop a little bit. You might use this back hand to push into the mat to let your back shoulder, your right shoulder, roll up just a little bit. It'll work for some of you. It won't work for all of you. If it doesn't work, just ignore me. Take maybe 3 more here. And then release, come back to the center and then lift the chest all the way up. Back into the side of the body. Right hand down inside of the right knee. Walk the fingers forwards about a foot of distance between the hand and knee. Inhale, lift up through the left arm, creating this opening, this length. Exhale, reach the left fingers towards your right toes. Again, bottom elbow might bend a little bit. It might even set inside of the knee. Now, as much as you're creating this length in the left side of the body, that is your priority. You can use a bit of rotation again to get a little bit further. Rotation in this is going to be opening the body. Usually when we talk about twists, it's closing the body, but here we're actually opening with a little bit of rotation. So let your top shoulder and your top rib cage roll back a little bit as your bottom rib cage, your bottom shoulder come forwards a little bit underneath you. Take another 3. Last one here. And then back up to the top. Inhale, lift up through that top arm. Again, bend the knees, draw them up into your chest. Giving yourself a hug. Now, your first option is to stay in a seat, and I'm going to give you the next posture. Your second option, if you would like it, is to take a final vinyasa. I am not going to take this vinyasa, excuse me, but if you would like it, go ahead, cross the ankles, roll forwards, step or jump the feet back, chaturanga, up dog, down dog, and then step or jump yourself forwards, back into a seat, and just join in whenever you're finished with that. Now, if you're skipping the vinyasa, knees are bent, drop them out to the sides, soles of the feet touch, Baddha Konasana. Your feet, let them be a good distance away from you tonight, maybe about a foot, heels about a foot away from the rest of the body, maybe even a little bit further. Same thing applies here. If you find that you're already dropping back, get a block or a book or a pillow or something, sit on that so that you can lift up a little bit. It gives you a bit more height. From here, coming into a fold. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, reach forwards. Lead this fold with your belly button. Think about your belly button coming towards your heels, which means that you're going to pull your lower back forwards rather than letting your shoulders collapse into it. Taking just 5 deep breaths here. They don't have to be the most powerful. Still long, still some control. Two or 3 more. And when you're ready, inhale, come on up and out of that. Draw the knees up together, and then you're coming down onto your back. So take the knees with you and just roll back and down, letting the body settle into the mat here. So we're closing down now. Things are quieting down, slowing down a little bit. Setting up for a bridge pose. So release your knees and set the feet down onto the mat. Your feet are just about hips width apart. They might be a little bit wider if it's comfortable. Your heels are just out of reach of your fingertips, so you can maybe touch the heels and then slide them away 1/2 inch or so. And your heels are a little bit wider than your toes. You're just slightly pigeon-toed here. Now ground through the feet, press your palms into the mat next to you. Inhale, start to lift your hips. As the hips go up, your pelvis is tucking up to the ceiling, opening the tops of the hips, supporting your lower back with the engagement of your glutes. Your shoulder blades then walk together underneath you, letting your chest lift a little bit higher. First option, stay right here, pushing your hands down. Second option, interlace the fingers underneath you and reach the knuckles towards your heels. Wherever you are, deep breaths. Use the power of your legs, not necessarily to put your hips any higher, but to push your chest, further back towards your chin, getting more opening in your upper spine. Maybe 2 or 3 more. And if you have the bind of the hands, go ahead, release it. Everybody separate the shoulder blades so your upper back settles into the mat, and then roll down 1 vertebrae at a time. Keep the pelvis tucking up so the middle back rolls down next and the lower back rolls down very last. And then just take a breath or 2. And from there, draw your right knee up into your chest, wrap the arms around your right leg, and then release the left leg long. So the right knee is in your chest. If you've chosen the wrong leg, don't worry too much about it, because we're just going to switch to the other side in a second. Just pull that knee into your chest a little bit, letting your lower back settle into the mat. And then draw the left knee back up towards you and release the right leg, so you're just on the other side. And the right knee comes back up. Both knees draw into the chest for a moment. And then release both knees, set the feet onto the mat, just like they were in bridge pose. Acquaint yourself with your lefts and rights again. This is a posture in classes that I usually have to point a lot to both sides of the room, so acquaint yourself with your lefts and rights. Now, shift your hips to the right side of your mat. So your hips are gonna lift up a little bit, move to the right side, and then set back down again. So you're gonna be off at a funny angle in the upper body, that's fine. Now, you're coming into a twist. Your first option is just to keep your knees together just like they are. Your second option for a deeper twist, your right leg will cross on top of your left. So that's right thigh on top of your left thigh. Now, wherever you are, whether the knees are crossed or they're not, draw the knees up into your belly and then drop the knees to the left. So your hips went to the right side of the mat. Your knees will drop to the left side of the mat. Your hips will tip over. That right hip is going to come up. Once the knees are over, drop your gaze in the opposite direction over your right shoulder. And just hang out here for a few deep breaths. Your inhales are maybe encouraging a bit more length between the right hip and the right shoulder. And the exhales, maybe just allowing a bit more rotation at the center of your spine.
Using an inhale, slowly come back to the center. Unwinding the legs if you took the bind. Bring the hips back to the middle and draw both knees into your chest. And then to the other side. Feet down. Hips to the left side of your mat. Once the hips are at the left, take the same leg variation from the first side. So either keep the knees together or cross the left thigh on top of your right thigh. Hips are at the left again. Everybody draw the knees into the chest and then drop the knees to the right side of your mat. Again, that left hip is going to come up, and then take your gaze in the opposite direction over your left shoulder. And when you're ready, slowly come back to the center once again. Hips into the middle of the mat, knees drop to your chest. Pulling those knees in for a couple breaths, maybe rocking a little side to side. And then preparing yourself for Shavasana. Now, if you have a favorite shape or if you have props that you would like to use, pillows or blankets or anything, you can start to prepare those. Otherwise, just release the legs. Excuse me. Let them go long to the mat. The arms can release by your sides, and the palms facing upwards. If there's a more comfortable position for your body, you're welcome to find it. Close your eyes. Shavasana. Release the fingers and the toes. Release the ankles and wrists. The knees and elbows. Let the hips sink down into the mat as the legs flop open away from one another. The shoulders melt down as your breath returns to normal. Your lips may slightly part as you release your jaw, letting the tongue come away from the roof of your mouth. Softening the space between the eyebrows. Softening the space behind the ears. Listening to any sounds that may be around you. Letting them wash over your body, creating stillness. Watching as your thoughts come in and out through your mind. Letting them finish. Letting them pass. Without creating any attachments to them. Finding the space that exists inside your mind. And finding some peace. Slowly beginning to deepen your breath. Beginning to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Circling the ankles and wrists. Rocking the head from side to side. Inhale to reach the arms overhead, reaching long through the fingers and through the toes. Exhale, draw the knees into the belly, wrap the arms around them, giving yourself one last big hug, rocking from side to side. Eventually winding up on your right hand side, using your right bicep as a pillow. Remaining in Shavasana with your eyes closed. And when you're ready, press into your left palm, coming up to any comfortable seated position. Palms may press together at chest center. May you take only what is offered, take only what you need, and always give more than you take. Stay safe, stay kind. Thank you, and namaste.